We're now talking to Draft Champions, host and fantasy baseball analyst, Rotodoctor Zack. Dr. Zack, what's going on, bud?
What's up, boys? Can you hear me?
We hear you perfectly, man.
Amazing. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, absolutely, man. Did you win at least?
Actually, it got rained out.
Oh, it got rained out. So, man. I mean,
Yeah,
you can't win. You can't win today. I mean, you have technical difficulties.
All
right. But you're here. That's a good thing.
I'm here. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. I mean, we were just talking to Speedy over there. He likes a lot of pussies in his house. So, I mean, Pussycats.
My apology. We apologize for having you to bring into that weird circumstances.
This is the worst kind of pussy to have in your house, at least.
That's probably true. Well, if you actually listen to our show, and we like to have a lot of fun, Speedy has some interesting stories about his dog, so why not talk about it?
Thankfully, that was not on our trip.
That wasn't on your trip. So
that was not on our trip.
So your dog wasn't with you?
No. Again, if he was, that skunk might have been near us.
And so would his nose, if you know what I mean.
Oh, his nose would be in more places than one.
His snout.
Oh,
but
yeah.
anyways.
His nose wouldn't be the only issue, but okay.
So why don't we get into a little bit about this is the first time you've been on a show, and we had Garrett Price on the show. He was fantastic. Second time. So when we get you on the show, we love to have fun with our guests, and a little bit, we like to get to know you first, and then we'll go through a little bit of questions and have a little fun with you. But
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about how you became a fantasy baseball guru and a draft champion, and how you started as a roto doctor. So what is that all about?
Well, Rotodoctor is just like sort of an inside joke. Mm-hmm. But to answer your first question, just playing a lot of fantasy sports and getting into something called the NFBC, which is a National Fantasy Baseball Championship, which is high stakes fantasy baseball. So putting out a lot of money on the line, playing a lot of roto. Rotodoctor is sort of just a play on a lot of people like on the internet or Twitter or just like want to be like doctors of like fantasy, and it's sort of just like a play on that, and that you shouldn't really take it too seriously. And it's sort of like ripping on them. But I'm not a roto doctor.
Well, Speedy is a roto doctor for pussy, so right?
God. No,
right? Pussy cats.
Far from it. No, that's Snug. Snug is the doctor.
So he's a roto vet.
Yeah, he's a roto vet. There you go.
Snug is the doctor for cats, not me.
Well, you know what? A lot of people in the fantasy industry do have cats, so they're very. They like cats, so maybe because the people in the fantasy industry, they just I don't know. If you don't have like a girlfriend or anything,
they like a lot of pussy.
You get a cat.
They like a lot of pussy. You know why can't
either way?
You can't hide that, man. I mean, seriously. Well, I will say this: my girlfriend, she has a cat, and it's like I'm not a cat fan, but for some reason I love her cat because she's always sleeping. She's sweet. So, and she likes to lick, and she's not one of those mean pussies, so that's a good thing.
Remember when at her house they jump around like 3 different places?
Well, that's not her cat. Her cat's usually sleeping. That's why you never get a chance to see her. Anyways, we are talking to draft champion, host, and fantasy baseball analyst, Rotodoctor Zack. So why don't we get into it? A little bit baseball. We were talking about baseball, and the Yankees have been sensational all season long, and I know it's still very early. We're over a little bit of a quarter of the season. I would say about 55, 56 games in the season right now. The Yankees right now have the best record in baseball. They're 41, I think, in 16. They're playing as good as we've seen them in a very long time, and has a lot to do playing very, very well offensively. They're getting timely hitting. They are a very good power team, as we've seen. This year, they've been one of the more defensive-minded teams in all of baseball. They have the best bullpen, and before the last 2 days, they've had record-breaking starting rotation. So what are your thoughts to the Yankees so far? What has stood out in your eyes on how they've been playing?
Well, are you guys Yankee fans or Met fans?
I'm a Yankee fan. He's a Met fan.
You guys Yankee fans? Well, I'm from Toronto, and I'm a Jay fan. So my thoughts on the Yankees are that they're probably going to fucking collapse as usual. Their team is Cole is going to melt in the playoffs like he always does. I don't even know if he's going to make the playoffs, judging on tonight. But I don't see it lasting, man. I think the Jays are going to take over, and maybe even the Rays and Red Sox. I think I don't know. I don't see it.
I think he hates the Yankees.
I think
That's all
you're
right.
a Jays fan. Tell Teoscar Hernandez to wake up. He's on both of my fantasy teams.
I will. He's on my teams as well. He's got to wake up. A bunch of those guys got to wake up. No, but I'm maybe a little bit bitter because I've avoided Judge in fantasy because he's a outfielder that went early and he doesn't steal bases for me.
Yeah,
and he's made me look stupid because he's been like basically the MVP. So I say it, but I kind of joke. I'm kind of joking around a little bit right now. But Judge has been really good, and that rotation, like Nestor Cortez, like he's been like basically the sleeper. Like Cortez has been like what everyone sort of experienced last year with Trevor Rogers and Logan Webb coming out of nowhere. Like Cortez and I'd say Lauer are those guys, and you got an MVP in Judge, and you got like the sleeper pitcher maybe of the year in Cortez has been fantastic, and then you got a really good team around them. Rizzo's been sort of like just from a fantasy perspective, they're going to be tough to beat for sure. I do have to say.
Forget about Taillon too. Taillon has been very good too.
Taillon like he's a Canadian boy.
Yeah.
Gotta love him. Yeah, he's been fantastic too. So like, they got a couple guys that I was hoping to maybe see come up from the minor leagues and pitch from like a fantasy perspective. They got like Clark Schmidt, who's got a lot of talent, and they also got this guy Waldachuk, who I drafted late in a lot of leagues. He's been lights out, but their rotation has been the best in baseball. So as long as they stay healthy, they're going to be really good. They got Clay Holmes, who's been the best reliever in baseball.
Crazy. By the way, everybody that says that Brian Cashman is, his time is wasting with the Yankees. Everybody said that in the offseason, the Yankees should get rid of Aaron Boone and get rid of Brian Cashman. They're terrible. They're horrible. Brian Cashman is probably going to be GM of the year, and Aaron Boone might be the first pitcher, the first manager in Major League history in his first 5 years to have not one, not two, but 3 100-win seasons, in his first 5 years. And I know how good the Yankees are, but that says a lot about his managing. So you could say whatever you want about him. The team actually listens to him. So
what do you think about the closing situation? Is Chapman going to get the job back if and when he's healthy?
We were just talking about that before we got you on, and it's so interesting because Speedy thinks that they should play by committee. That's what they should.
Because I don't really believe in like a lot of pure closers. I think the playoff strategy's changed.
I think Chapman is done. I think this is his last year with the Yankees. I think Britton will be back next year. They still have him under contract. I think they'll move on from Chapman. He's throwing 94 miles per hour. I mean, as a fastball, that's not good enough with the Yankees, especially that he's a fastball pitcher. And he has 2 pitches. I think King has been fantastic. Holmes has been fantastic. Schmidt's been fantastic. I think there's no bullpen that has as much depth as the New York Yankees. So I think the Yankees can use any one of these guys. I think it's going to be Jonathan Loáisiga as their future closer. I think that's more than likely what's going to happen. But I think either way, I think Aaron Boone has done very, very well with this bullpen. He's kept this bullpen fresh, something that he hasn't done in the last couple of years. So if you would ask me, I don't think Chapman will be the closer when he comes back. I think they'll try to move him back into that, but they're going to realize it's either Holmes or Loáisiga. They have more trust in those guys than Chapman. So that's what I think.
That's fair enough. It only begs the question is, like, what do you do with him? Because Chapman's only going to be worse if you don't put him in the 9th inning.
Right. That's what I was saying, too. He hasn't been good in other roles. Right. So outside of that, like 2 games with the Cubs in the playoffs where he did well, that was really it.
Well, is he only under 1 more year?
Yes.
His contract this is
last
year.
Out for this year,
Yeah, so I don't see the Yankees bringing him back.
No.
There's no reason. I mean, here's the thing. You talk about King and Schmidt and all these guys that they brought in that we were talking about and the kid that you were mentioning. These guys aren't starters. These guys are relief pitchers. And that's why I expect the Yankees at the trade deadline to look for a young pitcher that they can make a trade for, that they know is probably going to be a part of this rotation for the next 3 or 4 years. Because if they do somehow in the offseason decide to give Aaron Judge the $250 or $280 million contract that he wants to stay with the Yankees, which I don't know. I think it's more unlikely he is going to go to San Francisco. That's what I think. But if he stays with the Yankees, which a lot of experts think that he is, they're not going to be able to sign Luis Severino, especially if he has had the season that he's had this year. So they're going to have to part ways with him. So they're going to need somebody that's going to come in, and they don't have to pay for 2 or 3 years. So that's going to be the interesting move for Brian Cashman. I also heard the Yankees are very interested in the Pittsburgh Pirates closer right now.
Yeah, Bednar, yeah.
That's what I've been hearing. So and knowing the Yankees and what the Yankees have done, they've made moves with Colorado over the last couple of years and Pittsburgh. 2 GMs that are very, very close with Brian Cashman. So
plus 2 teams that are easy to fleece too.
Yes. So
especially Pittsburgh.
I expect the Yankees to maybe look for another closer who is still under contract for at least another 2 or 3 years. If they do go after the Pittsburgh Pirates closer, I don't think they need him, but why not? You never have enough pitching in that bullpen. So it's interesting. The Yankees are positioned so very well, and so are your Blue Jays. I mean, I like the Blue Jays lineup. I'm not a big Springer fan, but I love Guerrero. I think he's one of the best players in baseball. He's a fantastic player. He's not his father, but he's not that far off from his father. I love the players that they have. Their lineup is sensational. What I question right now with them is their bullpen. I don't trust their bullpen. They have a bunch of young guys in that bullpen. They brought in some veterans in the offseason. I don't know, and you know as much as everybody knows, if you don't have a good bullpen in the playoffs, you're not winning nothing. So, and that's why I worry about, if you're a Met fan, I would be worried going into the playoffs with the bullpen they have. And the same thing with the Blue Jays. I don't trust their bullpen. So I would say if I were the Blue Jays, I would do everything I can at the trade deadline to add some bullpen arms to help them out, including left-handed arms, especially when you have to play teams like the Yankees that are big-time right-handed, power hitters. You know what I mean? So that's where I think the Blue Jays have to go at the trade deadline.
I agree. They're leaning on Romano a lot. Romano's been fantastic, but he has an injury history. He throws very hard. He was hurt last year. He had ulnar neuritis, and he came back, I think, months before they intended him to, and it was great. It worked out, but you always think of like Jacob deGrom and last year, and like he had all these knick-knack injuries coming back like sooner than people expected, and it just didn't work out. As much as I would love Romano to stay healthy and do well, I'm worried about his health. And if he's gone, they really are thin, like you said. So yeah, I agree. They need to make a move probably if they want to compete. Maybe trade for Chapman. New York might want to trade Chapman.
They might.
Like right when he comes back.
But will the Yankees trade him in the same division? That's the question.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
Maybe to Philadelphia. They should. If the Yankees would probably love to trade Chapman to Philadelphia for Sir Anthony Dominguez because he's been lights out, and maybe trade Chapman while he still has that. I don't know.
Can the Phillies really afford to go for like the 6th flashy reliever that won't work for them?
Exactly. Like they seem like a great candidate, sort of like a Dumb and Dumber candidate. Like,
or Joe Girardi can come out of retirement and catch for the Yankees. Or Joe Girardi can come out of retirement and catch for the Yankees.
Would you prefer him over Boone right now?
No. And for Yankee fans, we had a guy that was on this show about a month and a half ago before we decided to part ways with him. He's been tailing and attacking Aaron Boone forever.
From the start, since they hired him.
Forever. And this is a guy that, and this is why I stick up for him. This is a guy that has never managed in any, AAA, AA, single A. He was an analyst on ESPN with Alex Rodriguez, okay? He comes into baseball. Brian Cashman trusts that he could bring him in and let him coach and let him manage this team. And for a guy that has no experience to have possibly this year, he's moving on to another 100-win season in 5 years and has been to the playoffs almost every single year. That says a lot.